Awesome. Hello, my name is Ali Stacey, and I'm here with CoastSmart Canada Association for Coastal Safety, and just doing a bit of a conversation coming into Tsunami Preparedness Week at the start of April, talking mostly about what people in the industry can do to prepare for tsunamis. So today we're going to go over what is CoastSmart, the basics of tsunami response, including drop, cover, and hold on, as well as evacuation routes and safe zones and emergency essentials. And then we'll talk a little bit about how we can specifically prepare staff and guests. And then finally, we'll talk about helping create a more prepared community. So, what is CoastSmart Association for Coastal Safety? We are a public education campaign that's designed specifically to enhance coastal safety along the shoreline and in the surf zone. We're originated right here in BC, Canada. And our ultimate goal is to strengthen and foster coastal safety culture. So we're doing this by inspiring safe coastal recreation. That includes hiking, surfing, boogie boarding, fishing, sea kayaking, anything that gets you in, on, or around the water. And then helping people identify safe recreation areas to do those activities. And our aim is to reduce barriers to knowledge about hazards so people can know before they get out into those zones, and helping people identify hazards and hazard symbols. So some of the other hazards we talk about are tides, cold water, rip currents, longshore currents, anything from slips, trips, and falls, and hiking along the coast, and then, of course, tsunamis as well. So talking specifically about tsunamis, there's lots of signs that could happen, but it's important to remember that not all these signs will happen if there is a tsunami. So some signs are water receding near the shoreline, very suddenly, not slow like the tide. You'd be able to see a visible difference. Hearing a loud roar from the ocean. Your municipality or area you're visiting might have tsunami sirens. You could hear about it on a radio, TV, or news outlet, or get emergency alerts straight to your device. It's important to sign up ahead of time if you're visiting coastal areas for these emergency or municipal alerts, or if you live in coastal areas as well. And as well, earthquakes can be a sign that a tsunami is coming. What to do if you feel the earth shake? So it's important, if you feel any one of those signs or symptoms of a tsunami, that you're acting right away. You're not waiting to hear official alerts. But one of the symptoms of a tsunami, or a sign that a tsunami could be coming, is that the earth is shaking. It's likely that an earthquake would be multiple minutes long and might knock you off your feet. It might be strong enough that you can't stand up. So if you feel it coming, drop, cover, hold on. Some common misconceptions are standing in a doorway or running outside. We want to avoid both those things. They're not going to keep you safe. Getting low with sturdy furniture is your best bet. If you're in bed, pulling blankets and covers over top of yourself to keep you safe from anything that might fall or clash is really important. As a business in your offices, or maybe as an Airbnb or a hotel, it's important to secure heavy furniture such as bookcases and dressers, anything that could shake and fall over in the event of a tsunami, or sorry, an earthquake. And then moving heavy objects down to lower levels so they're not going to fall off and hit people in the event of an earthquake. Some things to consider are hanging mirrors and pictures with clothes hooks so those aren't breaking and shattering as well, causing more hazards. Awesome. After the earthquake stops and there's no more shaking, really important to not wait for those community alerts or official warnings that you need to get to high ground. The earthquake is your warning. So it's really important that people know to immediately get to higher ground and move inland. So moving to those spaces. And it's also important to consider whether your house or business is already located in a safe zone. So if you're already above 20 meters above sea level, then you want to muster in place and want to avoid adding to any of the chaos that might be happening on the streets. If you aren't in a safe zone, though, you need to immediately move to an area above sea level. And this would vary based on your location. So it's important to think about where the safe zone might be based on your house, your business, and places that you like to recreate within the community. And while we're moving there, we want to bring only the essential items, and it's important to have this go bag ready ahead of time so you're not scrambling in the minute to get it there. And then finally, once you've reached a safe zone, now it's really important to wait for that official warning from local authorities. Once you're in a safe area, you want to stay there until you've heard that it is safe to go back to where you came from. Oftentimes people think of a tsunami as one wave, although it's often multiple waves, and the second or third wave can be larger and timed very spaced out from that first wave. So it's really important that you're staying there. So it's important to ensure you have an emergency stash and a go bag, also known as a car kit, that are already prepared with essentials, documents, food, water, and emergency cash ahead of time, and we'll get into that a little bit more later. Some considerations for getting to a safe zone. Asking yourself, am I already in a safe place? Is your house or business or area you're recreating in already above 20 meters of sea level? If so, it's important to stay where you are in your safe area. If not, then you can move to a community safe zone. Next, ask yourself if everyone's accounted for. If you were home with a group of 5 people, are there still 5 people there? If you had 10 people at work today, are there still 10 people here? Is everyone together? And then how will I get to a community safety zone? So roads are often going to be blocked. This could be with trees or power lines, and also just a lot of people moving around trying to get to a safe area. So we want to make sure we're keeping this clear for emergency services and people who might not be able to transit by foot. So consider walking or biking to those community safety zones. To give you a bit of an idea of what this would look like, this is a community safety map developed for Ucluelet, which is on the west coast of Vancouver Island. And so you want to look at where you're staying, whether that's your business, your Airbnb, whether it's your hotel or your house, and see if you're within this yellow area, which indicates that you're in a safe area 20 meters above sea level, or if you're in a possible inundation area, which in this map is indicated in green. And if so, how are you going to move to a community safety zone, which is one of these red circles that is a muster point for people within the community. So if you're looking for this, a lot of municipalities will have them on their website, as well as Prepared BC has links to a lot of different municipalities. How long do you have? So these are estimates from the Great British Columbia Shakeout. And it's really important to look at that these times are modeled for a tsunami wave generated by magnitude 9.0 Cascadia subduction zone, megathrust earthquake off of the southwest coast of British Columbia. So these times aren't for like a local landslide that could trigger a tsunami, but this is one potential type of earthquake that could cause devastating tsunamis within BC. And these are the estimated times before that first wave hits. So you can see in Tofino, you have about 20 minutes. Ucluelet is 25 minutes versus places down like Sydney, where they're estimating you have about 2 hours before that initial wave hits. This is not to say you can sit at home and wait to move to that community safety zone. It's important to move and act right away. However, this gives you a bit of an idea of what to expect, and that can help people plan for what to do in the event of an earthquake or a tsunami. Some considerations for preparing guests. What might be obvious for some people is definitely not obvious for others, especially considering people who might be ESL, non-English speakers, or have never seen the ocean before. So it's really important that we familiarize people with what these signs mean. These are all different signs used within tsunamis, sorry. The one on the left is a classic hazard symbol, and then the one in the middle is indicating that someone has come into a tsunami hazard zone. And it says, in case of earthquake, go to high ground or inland, indicating that the area they're in currently is not safe. However, the one on the right indicates a safe evacuation route for cars to follow. So these are all really important for people to know and be aware of. Some other considerations for preparing guests are ensure guests know local hazards prior to arriving to make sure that they're most prepared for their trip. This includes giving them information and confirmation emails, whether you're working as a fishing charter or at a hotel. These are really important to make sure people are aware. So you could give them helpful links to advise guests on what to pack and information on what to have in a go bag or a car kit, as well as links to municipal warning alerts that they can sign up for, whether that's tsunami warning systems. Next, we want to ensure guests know local signage and evacuation zones, especially, well, regardless of, but especially if your business is not in a community safety zone and is in a potential inundation zone, making sure people know where to muster and where to go if they do feel the signs or see the signs that a potential tsunami is coming. And then our third recommendation is to work with local organizations to promote safe recreation. This includes information on tsunamis and other local hazards. We want to promote people taking surf lessons, guided fishing or kayaking trips, and safe zones for storm watching or beginners to learn how to surf. It's really important that this has a very holistic approach, and that if we're promoting safe recreation and safe visiting of these areas, that lots of different hazards will occur or can occur when someone's visiting the coast. Some considerations for preparing staff, especially if you have seasonal workers that are coming to the coast for the first time. A lot of the time, seasonal workers also are coming from the interior where they might not have as much experience with local hazards. We want to use our staff as community stewards against tsunamis and other hazards, which includes equipping them with the proper awareness and information so that they can respond to these events. So that includes having them sign up to municipal tsunami warnings and ensuring that staff know how to answer basic safety information about tsunamis in the workplace, and practicing tsunami evacuation plans in the workplace. Practicing what to do will help make staff calmer and more prepared in the event of an emergency, whether they're at work or within the community. When you do these different plans and practices, it's really important to consider every work location. So that includes in town, at the beach, on a boat, whether that's in your business or out in the field. And making sure that staff know the signs to look for tsunamis and other hazards at each of those locations. Especially important if you're out on a boat. Do you know what to do? In what depth of water is it safe to proceed back into the ocean versus come back into the harbor and seek higher ground? Shakeout BC has an annual drill day that's on October 16th that I highly recommend businesses sign up for and have a practice along with the rest of BC. Although it's good to remember that, especially along the coast, we have a lot of seasonal workers that work April, May until September, and they're not around for Shakeout BC. So it's important to practice this going into the summer as well when you have all your staff on fleet. What do you need to bring? I'm not going to provide you with a full list or comprehensive list. There are many different lists, including earthquake country, that are available online with different resources of what to pack. These are kind of just the 3 recommended different stashes that people should have, and we should be promoting people coming out to the coast to have in their car or RV as they come visit. So the first one is an under the bed bag. This has valuables in case an earthquake happens overnight. We should be thinking about, what do I need to get to my go bag or car kit and emergency stash? That includes maybe you need glasses, flashlight, shoes, and it's recommended to have a closed box in case glass or anything like that shatters. Next, having a go bag or a car kit in the event of an immediate evacuation should be stored in an easy to access place such as car or near the front door, and should have enough food and water to last 3 days. In your emergency stash, in case you need to shelter in place, and thinking about like if electrical, sewer, water resources aren't restored for multiple days following a devastating tsunami, that there'd be enough food and water to last up to 2 weeks. Some other considerations you should take are if you need daily medications, Having cash is really important, and having vital documents such as passports or insurance papers are really good to have in your emergency stash. Creating a more prepared community. So specifically today, we've been talking about tsunamis, but other hazards on the coast will also be amplified during a tsunami. So there'll be an increase in sporadic rip currents and tidal surges and beach flooding all along the coast. And so it's important to ask yourself whether you've armed your staff and guests with information on local hazards that occur every day. So we're talking about rip currents, beach flooding, whether you're going storm watching, hiking, or surfing, where can guests find the safest places to do what they came to the coast to do? So one thing to consider is, are we promoting guiding fishing trips and kayaking trips and surf lessons to help people get out on the water and recreate safely? And then there's a lot of other resources that have already been made by different organizations around BC that can provide good pamphlets of information if people are looking for more information. Just to highlight a few resources here that have a lot of really good information. CoastSmart has a lot of resources for businesses and pamphlets, as well as Shakeout BC, EPIC, Get Prepared BC, Earthquake Country, and BC Earthquake Alliance. Thank you so much.